Hello, I'm Jennifer Witt, Director of ProjectManager.com. Well, welcome today to our whiteboard session on how to manage high-risk projects. If you've ever been assigned a high-risk project, just the concept in itself is frightening. But today what I want to do is break down the structure of this sentence and really look at what we're saying, because if we apply simple rules of project management, I think we can find that it can be simplified, but we want to incorporate a few tips and techniques in addition. So first of all, if we break this sentence down, it's how to manage high-risk projects. What does that mean? So managing, we know managing is just getting things back on track. So we're looking at if is something on track or if it's off track. If it's off track, what are the things that we do? How do we manage it and control it to get it back on track? And then we define high risk. Here's where I think the most important step is, or the most important thing to do is really identify what does high risk mean to you, because it can mean different things to different organizations or different companies. For instance, are you looking at launching a new product? Are you looking at rolling out an untested inoculation if you're in healthcare? Are you looking at a transformation initiative where something really across the whole organization or the whole company is being implemented, impacting a lot of different people inside the company and outside? Or you could be on a high-risk project like being on something involved with a natural disaster. So we're looking at different things that can be involved. I remember back in my college days, I was working with a soda company who rolled out a new product line, and it was total disaster due to the formula of the product. So what happened was it jeopardized, that high risk to the company was it jeopardized customers, because customers were really upset about it. So they were upset with the bottling company, and they were talking about going to the competitive product. So that was risky for the company. Like in healthcare, certain times where certain diseases or health conditions come up, sometimes the inoculation may be untested, and with that could be high risk. Or transformational initiatives. One thing in jeopardy of there is for transformational initiatives for companies doing a lot of changes, it could be high risk because the people that they want to retain through the course of the transformation or afterwards may start looking around, looking at other jobs, and they may leave. Natural disasters. There's such high risk involved in those. A lot of time, most times, if not all, people going in to clean up or respond to a natural disaster, they don't know the conditions. A lot of times what they meet, they've never met before. So there's high risk to the people. If there are people involved, they're trying to rescue, or even the workers, the rescuers. So there's a lot of risk that can be involved in such things, and you have other examples of your own. So in the risk, we know for every risk we need to identify and evaluate the risk and determine the risk mitigation strategy. So that's what we're looking at as we're deconstructing this sentence. So we look at what do we need and how do we do it. So these are just six of the top ones that I feel like are important. So having a detailed plan. So it's one of the concepts we're familiar with in project management. However, we know in reality, keeping a detailed plan, keeping it up to date, may not always get done. So it's critical to have a detailed plan, and we monitor, control, and re-baseline accordingly. So generally, due to high-risk projects, things are always being looked at, evaluated, and as things change, it's critical to update the detailed plan, re-baseline. Engage the stakeholders and your CCB or your change control board, and leverage them constantly. So it's important to keep them engaged, keep them informed, and as decisions need to be made, is keeping them and leveraging their expertise, their experience, their knowledge about the company or the situation. Effective communications plan. So not only having a communications plan, but it needs to be effective for all parties involved, and inform the team or the project or stakeholders regularly and consistently. And then always have a thorough risk plan, very thorough. For high-risk project, that's the key word, risk. So evaluating and updating that appropriately. So many times we see where projects may have a risk plan or a risk log, but maybe it's not being maintained. It's the thing where people think the risks are evaluated one time in the beginning and they forget to keep them updated. So this is a very critical piece. Then number 5, efficient escalation plan. So it's not only important to have an escalation plan, but one that's efficient, where if things have to be escalated, it has to be efficient to get done quickly, appropriately, to the right people at the right time. And follow up regularly with this escalation plan, making sure nothing falls through the crack. And having talented people. So with high-risk projects, really searching for talent, your A-team, the people who have the experience, the expertise, all the things that you need for this specific project, and be sure to listen to them. Listen, trust, support them wholeheartedly, making sure they have what they need and they're being responded to, the information that they're providing to you gets incorporated. And as a bonus, I feel like there are 3 things to stay awake and alert. For high-risk projects, it's always, you don't want to be sitting and sunning on the deck of the Titanic while it goes down. For a high-risk project, you can't let your guard down. It's always being alert to what's happening, being awake to what's happening, listening to what people tell you. And you've heard the old adage, stop, drop, and roll. So that's what you want to do on these projects. Always stop, drop, and roll. Question everything that's been done. Is this correct? Does this sound right? Is it going to take this long? Does it sound like the right people involved? Do we have all the people involved who need to be? So it's constantly questioning everything and building and nurturing those critical relationships that you're going to need to get things done, not only for your team, your stakeholders, but any other organization outside that you may have to rely on. If you need any tips, tools, or techniques, or better yet, a system to track your high-risk project, then visit us at projectmanager.com.